I just finished season 3 of the Umbrella Academy, and I have to say, this season is nothing short than amazing. Let's jump into my review of that right now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing season 3 of the Umbrella Academy, returning back to Netflix June 22nd. Now, Netflix has been on fire this month, and now with the Umbrella Academy returning, it's just getting better. This season, you have 10 episodes, an hour each, and they are fantastic, action-packed, and will have you on the edge of your seat. There's so many things you will not see coming, and it's so much fun. But first things first, in this season, you do have the Umbrella Academy as they return back from saving the world in 1963, now returning into the present day. And as we've seen them, as we ended off in season 2, they are faced with new people inside of their home, and yes, that is the Sparrow Academy. So this season, here's the dynamic. You have the Umbrella Academy versus the Sparrow Academy. You have this, well, listen, we all know how this happens. Anytime 5 is doing anything with time travel, it's always causing problems. This time they jump into this new timeline, and it has created a time paradox. This is what they call a grandfather paradox. So this is like the bad of the bad. But along with this whole dynamic between the two families, the Sparrow Academy and the Umbrella Academy, you also have, because of this paradox, you have what seems to have caused something else to happen, where now animals and people are missing, disappearing, and it's evident that there's a really big problem that is coming that ultimately could end the world again. So here they go again with another chance to save the world. I mean, this is what they do, right? You know? But yeah, so much to kind of break down in this season, but I'm definitely going to try to keep this spoiler free for you all. Now, the biggest thing coming into this season was what happens to deal with the actor Elliot Page, formerly of Ellen Page, who came out in December 1st of 2020 as transgender, thus changing his pronouns to he, they. So Elliot, formerly of Ellen Page, is now transgender, identifying as a male, as in he, and using the pronouns he, they. So the question was, well, what will happen to Vanya? Well, they quickly addressed this in this season, and they handle it in a very, I'd say, a very tasteful way, because it makes sense. It wasn't forced. It wasn't like a big predicament. It was simply put that Vanya came out to her brothers and sisters and said, well, I am now going by Victor. And he said, because of my relationship with Sissy, I have unlocked something in me. Like, Sissy has saw a part of me that I had always been afraid to be open with, and I cannot live in that box anymore. So I love how they address Elliot's coming out in real life in the show in a tasteful way. Now Vanya being Victor, going by the pronouns of he, him on the show, and Elliot in real life goes by the pronouns of he, they. But speaking of Victor does a lot in this season. More of the discovering of his powers, but ultimately addressing what he left behind in terms of Sissy and Harlan. And I think that's what a lot of what's happening in this season is, that everybody is addressing the idea of, you know, what is life now, but ultimately what was it that I left behind. So you have Victor addressing Sissy and Harlan. You have Allison with her daughter Claire and Ray. All those sorts of different things. It's just like, hey, what did we leave behind? But now that they're in this new current timeline, like, things are sort of peaceful for the time being. Besides this whole Sparrow Academy thing, like, the world isn't coming to an end. So you do have folks like Five who's like, I'm cool with being here. And then you also have somebody like Luther who's finally found love, who's clearly gonna love it here. So you have that whole dynamic and stuff kind of going on as well too. And also like Five is like, I'm just done messing with time. Like, forget all that. And then with Ben being part of the Sparrow Academy, they got this whole running joke of like, hey, Ben's back. And Ben's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And it's like, yeah, you've been dead for about 15 years here. So I love the running joke, but ultimately Ben being there just adds this other extra dynamic between the two families, and it's interesting. But like I said, you know, you do have a lot of different kind of internal things happening with the Umbrella Academy. Again, with them, with their kids, their partners that they left behind. And Allison and Victor, they're struggling. Like, that's very evident. They are absolutely struggling to the T. And like I said, some want to stay, some want to go back. And even in this season, you have some who have gained kids, and then ultimately you have somebody like Allison who has lost one. And as I said, Luther finds love. So like, it's hard to tell if they made the right decision or not into being in this timeline, staying in this timeline, not tampering with time anymore, or do they try to like fix this and go back? And obviously we know the key with this is the briefcase, which, you know, that's going to be a very valuable asset for anybody who could get their hand on, especially for the ones who wants to go back. And then there's Lila, shall I say, and I'll just leave that one at that. But ultimately, there is a lot of rediscovering of one's abilities, and everyone is sort of learning their max potential and the relevancy, shall I add, as well too. And with that, you know, it's truly giving you so many laughs, so much drama, really good action. And there's always Claus, who's just completely strange the entire time. But on a side note, you know, this season did Firestarter better than the movie Firestarter. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Episode 1 is completely hilarious. The opening is literally one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time in television. You know, it kind of reminds me of the laugh I kind of got from watching The Boys in their previous episode with Soulja Boy and his commercial, but this was pretty funny and silly. And then there's one episode that goes completely full-blown Resident Evil. You will know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's a big Resident Evil fan will know exactly what I'm referencing to. And then episode 7, I believe, was my favorite. It gave a lot. It gave like a lot of relevancy to the story arc, to the characters, the action, the suspense. There was a lot that went on in episode 7. So, but yeah, this season was nothing short of amazing. It was fantastic. So many good things. Again, I love how they're moving this story forward. I love how Umbrella Academy is literally one of the best series on television today, period. And I just loved how with, you know, addressing Elliot, you know, coming out as transgender, I just really love the handling of that. I just can't give enough praise to them addressing it to a way that they didn't make it like a big spectacle. It literally made sense. It for story purposes, it just made sense. And then to be able to do that for the actor, I thought was super tasteful and respected. And I definitely appreciate it. So, you know, now it's going to be interesting to see where Victor goes beyond this, because Victor, as we know, has been and in the previous season, Vanya has been a very pivotal and vital character to everything that goes on, considering that Vanya has ended the world twice. But now, being Victor, being more of himself, you know, as he stated in saying that like Sissy opened up something in him and he can't live in that box anymore. So being his true self, you know, what would that mean for the implications going forward? Like, and then let's not forget what happened in the previous season with Harlan, and how does that play a toll into this season, which is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So, but you already know, if you're a fan of the Umbrella Academy, you can't wait for this season to return. It is returning again back to Netflix June 22nd with 10 episodes. You don't want to miss out. Jump in the comments, let me know your thoughts about this season, and as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.